welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we get Primal with the latest Far Cry game in the rundown.
Plus, we find out if Guillermo del Toro's new horror movie finds him at his peak.
And then we get primed for Halloween with the first of 13 of Scott's spooky movies. Also coming up, we feel the force with Star Wars Uprising, return to the core with NBA Live 16, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day, and more than 1 billion years of evolution have been leading all the way to this, the rundown. A new Far Cry game is on the way, and this one's looking a little more primitive. Ubisoft has announced Far Cry Primal, the new standalone game in the first-person shooter series. You won't be shooting any modern weapons, though. This one takes place in the Stone Age, when humans were still struggling to fight their way to the top of the food chain. You'll use prehistoric weapons to battle extinct creatures like the woolly mammoth and saber-toothed tiger, and rival tribes might try to take you on as well. Although Primal takes place in a completely different era than the other Far Cry games, the developers say that it will explore similar themes of survival and savagery with a dangerous open world to explore. The main character this time around is a hunter named Takar, voiced by Adam Jensen himself, Elias Tufexis. Far Cry Primal will take players back in time on the Xbox One and PS4 on February 23rd, 2016, with a PC version slated to follow a month later. Far Cry games set in the Stone Age, kind of a big deal. That's why that's all we're talking about today. Here to help me discuss this is my pal, Marissa Roberto.
I was really hoping the main character would have been Fred Flintstone or something like that.
You have a brilliant mind, and now I want to play that game. How do we make a Fred Flintstone Far Cry game?
I know, maybe it'll just be like one of those DLC packs you can get.
Well, this is the thing, right? Because you say the Stone Age, you say Primal, you throw a character back in time. The first thing that jumps into my mind in a first-person shooter kind of space is Turok, but this isn't Turok. This is trying to adhere to some actual historical information that we had of the Stone Age. So you're going to be seeing woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and some maybe oversized beasts of the era, but no dinosaurs.
Well, no, and they're only going off, they have to go off of what has already been discovered, what we know as humans now about the past, but they don't know other things.
Their tools, their weapons.
Right, but they didn't know anything about like what they would actually wear or so. I mean, I love that. I love that they're being creative with this game as well, but they're also pulling from history. That's the exciting thing. I'm just really excited for Elias Tufexis.
Yeah, me too. But what kind of voice is he going to have as Takar? What's he going to say? Is he going to have a British accent?
No.
What's he going to do? Like, how did people in the Stone Age talk? And what did they say?
We don't know.
Right.
They must. Because in every Far Cry, like, they still speak English, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're going to
default back to English. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. It just makes it easier for the player, right? When you're jumping in and you're playing things.
Yes.
But a lot of it is because you are on your own. It will be internally as well. So maybe we won't hear a lot of his voice, but we'll hear a lot of grunting for sure.
Yeah.
And because
curious to see who Troy Baker will be playing in this. Maybe he'll be playing a saber-toothed tiger or something. I'm just, it's hard.
Like a blonde ponytail,
It's hard not to kind of have some fun with this because it's obvious that Ubisoft is having fun with this. This is a franchise they are not afraid to take some pretty big risks with. There's never been a through line with the stories of the characters of Far Cry. They're kind of by that brand, only by that brand's association, really. I mean, it's almost like Final Fantasy in a way. It's like they start over from scratch every single time. And Blood Dragon was such a remarkable experience. Far Cry 4 was great too. But I just love the risk-taking that's apparent here. All right, well, we've got to move on. We're taking a look at a new movie that's coming out this week from Guillermo del Toro. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at Crimson Peak.
Oh, Lucia? When it's convenient, would you mind getting me a copy of the house keys, please?
You don't need one.
I'm sorry?
There are parts of the house that are unsafe.
Crimson Peak is a classic Gothic romance, and it's basically the age-old story of a young woman falling in love, traveling to a distant, crumbling residence, and uncovering a secret in her lover's past.
Guillermo del Toro is probably, if not definitely, the primary interpreter of Gothic romance in contemporary cinema. There is something singular and unique about his vision, his fingerprint as an artist, and his ability essentially to make stories that seem to deal with the supernatural, that deal with ghosts, and make them intensely, emotionally real.
In your own best interest, proceed with caution.
There are several conflicting love stories in this film, which is really interesting how it all weaves together and creates a lot of drama and danger for the people that are trying to negotiate and navigate their way through this web of love. Because, you know, there's no greater motivation for murder than love.
She knows who I am and she wants me to leave.
Nonsense, my dear. You're not going anywhere. The ghosts are really beautiful. The same way Pan's Labyrinth, the monsters were so beautiful. They're heart-wrenching, and Guillermo has a story for each of them, the ghosts, and why they look a certain way, and perhaps that's why it's so rich to look at them and just to look into their eyes.
I have to get away from here.
Edith, this is your home now. You have nowhere else to go.
Edith is, you know, she's very strong-willed and a bit of a loner, I guess. She likes to think she's very intellectual and very sure of things. But in a way, I think, unfortunately, like, the more she loses, the more it kind of actually benefits her in a strange way.
Crimson Peak should not be confused with a horror film for me. It is a Gothic romance. Now, Gothic romance is a very time-honored tradition that skates really close to horror. It can have ghosts, it can have crumbling castles, it can have the trappings of a horror film, but it's ultimately a journey through the story of a love affair. Virginal central character transiting through a world of darkness, discovering a secret, a treasure, or a dark past, and emerging on the other side transformed.
This is your home now.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm staying far away from that, but if you want to go see it, you can. It's in theaters this Friday.
I can't wait to see that, Tom Hiddleston. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
Stick around. We've got a brand new Star Wars game to review when we return.
My Star Wars memory is that it was actually the first film that I ever went to see in the theater, and I remember when those words came at me, and I was reading and I couldn't keep up with the reading. My mom had to read it for me. I knew I was in for a life-altering experience. Probably 3/4 of the way through the movie is when I decided I wanted to be an actress. It was pretty cool.
Oh man, I have a lady crush on that girl.
awesome.
She's awesome, and she plays an amazing Wonder Woman in Justice League Gods and Monsters, so please watch it if you can.
And we've got more Star Wars for you right now. Here's our review of Star Wars Uprising. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Asphalt 8 Airborne, which you can play on your Android or iOS device for free right now. If there's one thing that Star Wars Uprising from Kabam proves is that it is time for a real, authentic, Diablo-style Star Wars experience, maybe a Marvel Ultimate Alliance Star Wars experience. This one tries, I think, pretty convincingly to create that for us, but what do you think?
I was frightened going into it, to be honest, because it's a free-to-play game. So we played a lot of these before. This is an always online game, which I cannot stand because the reason why
to Sweden, for
you
example,
you want to play the game, especially on the plane. You just can't do it. But I did like when I jumped in that it gave me the option of a female character right away. Not only a female character, but 4 different races to choose from as well. And that adds a little bit of variety to the game because you're
cosmetic touch.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's a handful of different styles to choose from for your character, but you do personalize it. You make it your own. You can actually meet people online and play.
You can go co-op. You can create cartels, which are kind of like guilds in different games.
Which is cool as well. Will I do that? No, probably not. But I will play, and I have played, just the regular style game of grinding, because what you're doing here is jumping into each mission, grinding it out, shooting, just classic fighting mechanics on the iPad. You're using that. You're taking on missions. You're meeting different characters along the way. That does make it interesting as well, meeting new characters. But you do fall back into the same style of gameplay each time.
Yeah, it's not enough of a reward. Now, there are different planets that you can travel to in different systems. Even though you might be traveling to a hut planet and you can go to Hoth and it's snowy or whatever, it feels exactly the same. You might fight a giant snow beast or you might fight a giant desert lizard, but it feels exactly the same. And it doesn't matter what character you choose or what race you choose. You're basically doing the same thing. You're going on rogue-like missions and you're basically working for criminals and, you know, collecting loot from different things. But you don't really go through any of those actions. All you do is you get to a glowing circle at the end of the thing and it says end mission. And then you get your grind rewards for spending the time. And you get daily rewards and you get rewards for playing co-op and you get rewards for playing at a higher difficulty level. I expected it to be pretty damn awesome, and it isn't awesome. What are you going to give Star Wars Uprising?
It's all right. So it gets an all right score of 6.
Gets a 6 from me, too.
Oh man, when you have that Star Wars stamp on something, you just expect perfection at this point, except for, I guess, 1, 2, and 3 episodes.
Well, that's why we expect perfection. Stick around. I've got a brand new toy table for you when we return. Welcome back to EP Daily. It has been a minute since I've talked about Batman on EP, so let's change that, shall we? Welcome to the toy table. These figures, ladies and gentlemen, are the Dark Knight Returns figures from Mezco and their 1:12 line. I think it's 112 line. I think that means they are 1/12 scale figures based on what their approximate measurements would be for Batman, ripped from the pages of Frank Miller's classic Dark Knight Returns comic book. There is a Dark Knight Returns 3 coming soon from DC. I know the second one wasn't the greatest, but I have faith and hope and my fingers crossed that the Dark Knight Returns 3 book is going to be incredible. In any case, I loved Frank Miller's renderings of an older, stockier, meaner, angrier, tougher Batman, and these figures capture that wonderfully. There have been some other Dark Knight Returns figures along the way. DC Direct had a line. I know that Mattel has just announced some stuff, but I love these because they almost work like the old classic Mego line of toys where they had action figures with cloth costumes. That's what you get with this one. You get the big, chunky, stocky utility belt. You've got a choice of different hand sculpts that you can put on your figure as well. I chose the one, and actually both the black caped version and the blue caped version of Batman holding 4 of his batarangs, and I believe that's what he used to slice up Joker's face with. He just brutalizes Joker in the books. You have to read that book if you've never read that book series. It's incredible, seminal, and a big part of what Zack Snyder is referencing for Batman vs. Superman. Anyway, fantastic sculptures here. You get a couple of different head choices as well. There's an angrier version of Batman and a less angrier version of Batman's face. These are the short, stubby ears, a lot like the short, stubby ears that Affleck's got in the new movie. Beefier boots with big, chunky, stubby soles on the bottom. I love the big, flattened, wide I'm Batman bat symbol that this figure has as well. It also comes with a rifle, which is an interesting part of the assortment of goodies that you get in the box. They've posed the character in a whole bunch of different cool ways. I never have time to pose the figures. I just get them and stand them up and look at them. But this is an incredible set. They do cost a little bit. They are hard to find. You may have to kind of scrounge around online to find your own out there. I picked one up at Comic-Con this year, and I picked one up at Comic-Con previously. So I have 2. They're friends. They look angry, but they get along. Anyways, I love these. These are 2 of my favorite Batman figures. But right now it's time to go back to video games. Here's our review of NBA Live 16.
And how crazy, Mike, is this situation?
2K16 is the top gun out there, but NBA Live is back with their 16 edition. What did you think of EA's fight for a place in our hearts this year?
I like the fact that you use the word fight to describe this because it does feel like a fight, more of a fair fight this year than it has in previous years. I like the team working on NBA Live, and I think they do a pretty good approximation. I think this is the least embarrassing version of NBA Live so far. seriously, we're only 3 years into the rebound cycle for this franchise.
Yeah,
and they've already come so far.
Yeah, just by looking at the visuals of this game, you can see that it's a work of art. They've done a fantastic job with the player models.
Gibson's looking to do damage in the paint. Drains the three off the quick release.
The arenas look amazing.
Arenas
in
look
this.
great. The crowds look great. The focus sort of stuff that they've done with the camera work is very impressive. It doesn't have, I think, the shininess of presentation and production. And,
yeah, it
and
doesn't feel like a TV production the way
like
that 2K does. Yeah.
But it still looks great, and the on-court action, particularly offline, runs pretty fluidly. I was having a very good time on the court playing as a bunch of different teams out there and experiencing the game. I ran through the career mode and started as a rookie in the Adidas game and was having fun learning the intricacies of making my shots and driving to the hoop and getting the dunks. I liked creating my character. My favorite feature actually about this game is the
Game Face HD.
I love it. I think
love it?
I do.
What did your guy look like?
It looked like me.
Oh my God, that does look like
it
you.
It looked like me. Ruby, my daughter, sat down on my lap and was watching me play this. That's me. That's Daddy on screen right now.
Now that I look at it, you look like an old woman.
Oh, come on. You know what freaked me out though is that was a surreal thing, especially when in contrast to the still non-functional scanning feature in 2K16.
I'm over the face scan thing. I'm glad you could see your face on a fictional NBA player. For me, it's not that exciting.
Right.
I just want to get in there. I want to play the game. I want to feel it. I want to know what the controls are. I want to know what's been fixed, what's been improved. And this year, there's still little things about the experience that are kind of hinky. You know, like for example, if you just start jamming on the turbo button, you can almost always turn that into points. And I don't know why.
Drive. Yeah, it's definitely,
I don't know why that still works.
It's like the old 16-bit days of NBA Live. It's really way too offensive heavy. But I still had a lot of fun playing this game. What are you going to give Live 16?
I'm going to give it a 5.5. Sorry, Live, out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It has a ways to go, but NBA Live is definitely catching up, and we are going to have a head-to-head between Live and 2K16 in an all-versus episode next week on EP. But right now, it's time to catch up with Mike Tyson. He's got some mysteries he needs to solve.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? I don't think I can take it much longer.
Neither can I. So Mike, first off, congratulations. Season 2 of Mike Tyson Mysteries. It's gotta be, how much fun is this for you to get to play in this world again?
Hey, listen, man, I love that you said that. It's just something I'm totally grateful for. And I'm not gonna let this get away from me anymore. I mean, it's real life that I'm ready now to handle the responsibility of just doing this stuff.
And how much further would you like to take this? Where would you like to take this character in the show in season 2?
I'd like to take it internationally, take it over to China, the Asian world, take it all over the world, and get people familiar with the characters and stuff.
What's the best part about working on the show for you?
Just being involved. I love it. I do it for free. I would do it for nothing.
I don't do it for free, Mike. Never do anything for free. That's terrible.
Yeah, I love entertaining people.
So tell me, what kind of things are we going to see for season 2 of Mike Tyson?
Just a dynamic collection of just some really crazy stuff that you wouldn't be anticipating. It's really crazy. I can't believe that they're letting us do this stuff.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to you uncovering more mysteries, Mike. Thank you very much.
To the Mystery Mobile.
I wonder if Mike Tyson, as he was training in the gym 20 years ago, could see himself here now as a beloved cartoon character. Stick around. We've got Scott's spooky stories when we come back.
I did not see you standing there. Welcome to Scott's Scary Movie Time. Looking for something scary to watch this Halloween? Well, I recommend It Follows. This is a 2014 movie, so my memory of it is still very unnerving. The premise of this, very straightforward, and that's kind of what I love about this. It's just how simple this is. There is a creature, it's like a human being, that follows another human being around, and it will continue to follow that human being around until you can pawn it off on somebody else. It Follows, there are lots of genuine creeps, especially in the first 2/3 of the movie, and that's true for a lot of horror movies. The first 2/3 are always the best. Here, what you see is a movie that's very evenly paced. doesn't have a lot of gore, doesn't have a lot of things that really will stand out and gross you out. But what it does is it has a premise that you can't stop thinking about. And this movie really kind of haunts me. At least, once again, the first 2/3 of it haunt me. The last third, they resolve the situation. It kind of goes sideways. But I love the first 2/3 so much that I forgive what happens at the end. It's not terrible. It's just not as great as I wanted it to be. If you're looking for something to unnerve yourself and your friends this Halloween season, you can't go wrong with It Follows. So check it out.
Oh man, It Follows. Yeah, that was really scary. Also reminds me a lot of sexually transmitted diseases. I think that movie is supposed to be an analogy for STDs.
STDs, brutal.
Just so you know. Now we have to go into our Twitter question of the day, which is the best part of today's show.
Change. Yes, okay.
There's no segue at all into this. This comes from Kyle Chenard. He says, if LEGO Dimensions is a big success, will TT continue to make other LEGO games or focus on adding DLC and expansions?
That's a very, very good question. Yeah. Interesting. We've got the LEGO Avengers game that's coming out very soon. I can't wait for that game.
Yeah.
I think they should do both and use the standalone games almost as test devices to see if that's going to work as a LEGO Dimensions toy game kind of hybrid kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the more that they create these standalone video game universes, the more value they add back to making them as part of the Dimensions.
Right, of course, and our shelves are getting smaller and smaller. Thanks for the question, Kyle.
Yeah, if you've got one for us, you want to get caught up on the show, go to epn.tv.
We've got more coming for the next episode of EP Daily, including a look at Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox.
One of the things I loved about this story was everybody you think should be wearing a black hat isn't necessarily wearing that hat, nor did they intend to. And so it sort of doesn't make it easy to, especially when the film asks you to root for someone who is a spy against the national security of our nation. How could we possibly come out the other end of this experience caring about this person in the least? But in this case, we do.